Well, we're in chapter section 1-3, solving equations. And if you happen to be following along in your textbook, this is on page 21. We're going to take a look at example 6 first, guided practice in example 6. And then we are going to take a look at guided practice in example 7. So let's look at this one first. And what we're doing here is we are solving for a specific variable. So we have here that the formula for the surface area S of a cylinder is S equal 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi h. And h is the height of the cylinder, and we're being asked to solve the formula for h. So let's begin. So we've got S equals 2 pi radius squared plus 2 pi h. So when we're solving equations, and in this case solving for a specific variable, we want to think about the order of operations actually in reverse from the bottom up. So the first thing we want to do is there anything that we could add or subtract from this formula? And this term right here, 2 pi r squared, that's positive 2 pi r squared, we could subtract that from both sides. And once we do, we'd end up here with 5 minus 2 pi r squared. Now remember, we're trying to solve for h. So we've got 2 pi r squared now equals 2 pi h. Now, we can divide 2 pi to isolate this h. We could divide both sides of the equation by 2 pi, and when we do, we're going to end up here with 5 minus 2 pi r squared over 2 pi, and that equals h. And if we wanted to rewrite it, we could then say h is equal to 5 minus 2 pi r squared over 2 pi. And so what we've really done is we've rearranged the formula to isolate for a specific variable. It's called solving for the variable. And in this case, when we're looking at the surface area of a cylinder, the formula for that, S surface area equals 2 pi r squared, 2 pi radius squared, plus 2 pi h. Solving for h. Here is our answer. Happy, 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 happy days. Okay, well here we're being asked to use the properties of equality so that if 5y plus 2 equals 8 over 3, what is the value of 5y minus 6? And I'm almost tempted not to even do this, just to skip it, because this is really, in my view, just about ridiculous. So let's see. We'll solve it the way they want you to here in the book. And then possibly we might actually go in and solve it the way most normal people would do it. But what I'm going to be looking at is what do I have to do to this side of the equation? And whatever I do here, I'm going to have to do to this other side where I got 8 over 3. But where the left side is going to be 5y minus 6. Well, if I've got 5y plus 2, and if I subtract 8 from that 2, well, that would give me 5y minus 6. Now, whatever I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other. So this would be 8 over 3 minus 8. All right, so we'll simplify this. And so on the left side, we're going to have 5y minus 6. And this is what we're actually trying to prove, so I don't have to do any more on this side. But over here on the right side, I've got 8 over 3 and I'm subtracting 8 from it. Well, I've got to get to a common denominator, and that means I'm going to have to get to a denominator of 3. And so negative 8 is the same as negative 24 over 3. Because if I take 3 and divide it into negative 24, I'm going to get negative 8. So we got 5y minus 6 equals, okay, so I'm now going to have 8 less 24 is going to give me negative 16 over 3. And technically that's my answer. That right there. Now I think in the real world, we wouldn't do any of this. What we would actually do is we'd solve for this, we'd solve for y in this equation and then substitute that in for y in this 5y minus 6. And hey, this is not too long. Video's not been running that long. I think I'm going to do it. If I got 5y plus 2 equals 8 over 3, and I want to solve this, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 3 by both sides. To both sides. When I do it over here, these 3's are going to cancel. And so now I've got 3 times 5y plus 2 equals 8. I'm going to distribute that 3, so I got 15y plus 6 equals 8. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, so I got 15y equals 2, and y equals 2 over 15. Now, let's take this second part, and let's substitute in this y equals 2 over 15 for 5y. Put this in a different color. So I've got 5 times 2 over 15 minus 6. Well, here I can reduce that down to 2/3. Okay, so I got 2/3 minus 6. Now if I'm going to subtract those, I'm going to need to get it to a common denominator. So then I would have 2/3 minus, well, 18 over 3 is the same as, negative 18 over 3 is the same as negative 6. And I got 2 minus 18 over 3 is going to give me negative 16 over 3. And as you can see, that's the same as what we got with what I think is a more convoluted way. This one, the second one I did, seems to make more sense. It's probably the one you're going to use the most. Whatever reason, the one on the left, using properties of equality. Sometimes you just have to wonder what goes through people's minds.